Hello, everyone. We're at the movies with Matt and Ryan. Back on the podcast once again. It's mega movie time. We have a lot of movies to review. Matt is here
Yes.
on the other
Trying to find
side.
somewhere to sit. Ooh, this chair's nice.
This is it's a little more than a 3-in-1.
This is like I called it the grab bag. That's how I proposed this episode to Ryan because it's December and if you're like me, you're a movie fan. You're just playing constant catch up with movies.
Yeah.
A nice variety. So me and Ryan have both been watching a lot of movies that we hadn't had a chance to review on the show. So this video or segment will kind of be us, quickly through them, talking about them, and sharing our thoughts or, in some cases, our expectations. Because Ryan hasn't seen all the movies I've seen, he hasn't, and vice versa. So
Yeah, I've been on a tear lately. I've seen 14 movies in the past 17 days.
I'm curious to count for me, actually.
Yeah, well, that's like a lot for me. Like you've seen a lot of movies this year, but I've 14 in that little amount of time. I'm surprised, but
So what was 14 days ago?
the disaster.
Okay, so 1, 2. Oh, I've seen 14 too. Oh, that's kind of funny.
It's funny too, because from December 1st to the 6th, I didn't see any movies. So
we'll get to it. I'll go first. I'll go with the Emoji Movie. I mean, we'll go with it. So everyone said this movie was ass. It's one of the worst reviewed movies of the year. Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, an animated movie about emojis. I mean, what are you really expecting? But I mean, it's obviously bad, but I didn't hate it, I guess. I don't know. I think T.J. Miller and James Corden are funny, and even though there's no jokes really that are funny, I enjoyed their. It feels weird to say I enjoyed their voices, but their voice works good. They bring a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah, I don't want to be creepy, so
I enjoy their voices. Yes.
They guided me. Yeah, it's the same bullshit. Be yourself, kind of generic story you expect. I mean, it's a 3. Like it was bad, but I wasn't like upset because it didn't really try. Like it aimed for the lowest bar and it hit it. So 3, whatever.
All right, nice.
It was shit. Would it be on a worst of list? Maybe. I don't. It's just. Honestly, probably not. Just because it's kind of a bore. Like it's a boring movie to even talk about. Like it's just like it doesn't do anything bad in an interesting way. Like it's just bad.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I won't see it, but.
Anyway, next.
Let's do. You know what? I want to get this out of the way. Want to do Girls Trip? Let me just.
Yeah, you can mostly talk about it because I talked about it on a previous show. It's one of my favorites of the year. So
yeah, same here. I mean, it was really hilarious, and it's not even just funny. It was really like, I think you mentioned this earlier. You really care about these characters because they developed them so well. Probably better than any comedy I've seen this year. I don't think I've actually seen a lot of studio comedies. I'll have to go.
I'd say better than any comedy like this decade. Honestly, like. Can't really think of one.
The camaraderie is just amazing between these girls, and like it's almost like, and like I said, I told you this. They're probably friends outside of like making movies, but it seems like they've been friends for like years based on like how well their chemistry is in this movie. That was another huge highlight for me, and the ending was actually kind of touching. I mean, usually comedies have some corny endings. I mean, this one was. I actually kind of was like, wow, that's a nice ending. That doesn't usually happen a lot.
It was touching. That was very genuine.
Yeah.
That's what a lot too.
So yeah, I really have not a lot of issues. I think I put it in my top. I definitely put it in my top 10. I think it is 10 actually. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year too.
Cool.
I'd probably give it 8.5 or 9.
8.5. I think I gave it a 9. I'll probably stick with it. It'll probably end up in my top 10. Okay, next up. Beyond Skyline. So, I don't know if you know what this movie is, Ryan, but it's a sequel to the 2010 science fiction film Skyline, which was in my worst of list that year. It was this it sold itself as this big budget movie, but it was super fucking cheap and generic and just really stupid. But surprisingly enough, this movie kind of was a major improvement over the original, mainly because it's one of those movies that it knows what it is. It knows it's this kind of B movie, silly, alien story, but it has a lot of fun doing so. I mean, you have the guy from the great kung fu movie The Raid, Iko Uasis, doing kung fu against aliens. Like, it's kind of one of those movies that just throws a lot of shit at the screen. But I credit director writer Liam O'Donnell for knowing the right mix between kind of fun and serious. And I mean, this movie's obviously imperfect. It looks kind of cheap, and it has some more moments that are just a bit too corny. But I had fun with it for what it is, so I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10.
Oh, nice. So is it? I mean, would it be worth seeing?
It's a good movie if like just say you're bored and you're just looking for something kind of like fun. Like
Yeah.
it's not it's definitely just kind of one of those like don't take it too seriously kind of movies. I mean it's getting good reviews too. Actually, I think it has like around a 75 on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that. I mean,
Yeah, it has a 69. I was reading the synopsis just to get an idea, and yeah,
yeah.
it looks
I
interesting.
mean, if you're seeing it with knowing what the original was in mind too, like I credit O'Donnell even more so because the original was a real piece of shit. So this was definitely. I was surprised that the sequel not only existed but was actually pretty decent. So.
All right, nice. All right. We could do this one too. We can get American Made, or I could talk about. Did you? I don't think you talked about American Made actually on our show.
No, but I'll share my thoughts too.
All right. Well, American Made is the Tom Cruise movie, directed by who's the guy?
Doug Liman.
Yeah,
Of
Edge
who
of Tomorrow.
directed Edge of Tomorrow, the Firstborn film. He also directed The Wall, which came out this year. Not that great of a movie, but it was interesting.
Yeah. So it follows Barry Seal, a TWA pilot who is recruited by the CIA to provide information on the communist threat in Central America, and then finds himself in some hot water. So, this movie was. I mean, it wasn't totally original, and I had kind of an issue with Domhnall Gleeson's character, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. Tom Cruise was pretty great. And the story was engaging enough, even though it wasn't like too original. It was engaging enough where I was interested throughout the entire running time. But um,
I really love Doug Liman's direction with this movie. Like
Yeah.
I like he really gets you in the era. He really evokes the time, not only with kind of the locations and the clothing and stuff, but just also the way he directs. There's a lot of these kind of like VHS style, like cuts and stuff like that. Like it's just really, I feel like he had a lot of fun and a lot of inventiveness, which really
Yeah.
helped make the story feel a lot more fresh than it would appear to be. And I also think this is just a fantastic Tom Cruise role. It's really Tom Cruise working in his element, and he does a great job doing so. So yeah, I like this movie a lot. It's probably like the ultimate like dad movie.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely my dad saw it before me. And this was yeah, but I don't. Was it in theaters or did it just go? I mean,
No, it was in theaters. It came out the last week of September, the 29th.
Yeah, we just never got around to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was very good. I'd personally give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I was at a 7.
Okay.
For it.
All right, so I'm next. What the fuck should I talk about? Oh god. I mean, we could do this one, The Foreigner. We both saw it.
Yes.
Starring Jackie Chan. This movie definitely
Was enjoyable.
it evokes kind of a modern Taken-esque actioneer, but yeah, I dug it, and I think a lot of it is because of Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
He is in the scenes where he really has to act, he delivers, and I feel like he does a great job. But I also think the action moments with his character are really inventive.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Jackie Chan do some of his kung fu shit, but you also have him really kind of getting a step ahead of people by outsmarting them and being crafty. And I just thought it was a lot of that was very engaging.
Yeah, and I actually kind of liked how this. I mean, this movie wasn't like that original either, but like I don't think it settled. It didn't like. It wasn't like safe. If that makes any sense. Like I liked some of the other characters too. Like Pierce Brosnan is his name. I just looked playing Liam Hennessy. Like his character was pretty interesting too, outside of Jackie Chan. Like it wasn't what I was expecting. I thought this would be like the Jackie Chan show, and really there's a couple other like interesting characters, and even like storylines too. So I was
Yeah,
impressed with the movie.
I found those aspects engaging, but I do think it does detract a bit. I mean, I think there's a bit too much of it,
Yeah.
and I think it does detract from Jackie Chan's character because I feel like he didn't even have the most screen time in this movie. I thought it
No,
was
he
like Pierce
didn't.
Brosnan. But I feel like maybe cut some of those subplots out and just give Chan a few more moments to really create some emotional resonance. I kind of wish the script trusted Chan's acting ability a little more. Kind of let him
Yeah.
have some moments.
Yeah. But the director, I mean, Martin Campbell.
Martin Campbell, he did GoldenEye, Casino Royale, Mask of Zorro. So he's been around. He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he did a really good job directing this movie. So I was impressed with it.
Yeah, I give it a 7. It's a solid 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Actually, I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. Fair, I guess. All right. Oh shit, I'm up next. I keep forgetting. Like we talk about the movie, and then I'm like, oh fuck. Oh wait, no, I picked the 4.
Oh,
fuck! I gotta keep track.
You want me to? I could do the killing of a sacred deer quickly.
Sure.
All right, the killing of a sacred deer, the new Yorgos movie, Lanthimos. For those of you who don't know, he did The Lobster from a couple years ago. I think a lot of people probably know Dogtooth, but I never seen it, so I can't speak on it. But yeah, Killing a Sacred Deer. It's with Colin Farrell once again. I'll give a synopsis, a quick one.
You don't have to.
You don't want me to?
I mean, you don't need.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people. I mean, people don't know this movie. I
do what you want.
All right, I'll just give a quick one. So, Dr. Stephen Murphy, who's played by Farrell, is a renowned cardiovascular surgeon who presides over a spotless household with his wife and 2 children until this kid named Martin enters their life. Then things change, and I won't go on from there. But this was very similar to The Lobster. I know you haven't seen it, Matt, but I like The Lobster. I wouldn't say quite a bit better, but definitely better because I just feel like the end of this movie wasn't as like memorable as The Lobster. Like I'm kind of already forgetting it. I saw it a few days ago, so the atmosphere is very similar. I will say this: Barry Keoghan, who plays like the kid in the movie, was actually really good. That was an unexpected role. That was really well.
He was in Dunkirk.
Yeah, Colin Farrell was really good. Nicole Kidman had limited screen time, but she was pretty good in it. I mean, overall, it was a solid movie. Like he's a solid director, so it was obviously going to be competent. I just don't think it was as memorable as The Lobster was. So I'm probably around like a 7.
7? Whoa.
Yeah, 7.5. It was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. My thing was like I knew like what his style was like going into it, and it just like there wasn't a lot that like wowed me in this movie. I don't know, like but by the end I was kind of disappointed because like the end wasn't as like holy shit, not as surprising as I would have thought. I feel like The Lobster had a lot more of those moments.
Yeah, fair.
But
next, Flatliners, the remake. I mean, this is a weird remake, but remake of the 1990 film, directed by Joel Schumacher. Basically, it's doctors who they're fucking around and they try to, they die and then they bring themselves back to life, have these near-death experiences.
Yeah.
This movie is just fucking boring. I mean, I really, the reason I was kind of excited for it is I really like the cast, like Ellen Page, Diego Luna. Like, you got these really, like, talented young actors here. And I think the director, Niels Arden Oplev, has done some decent stuff. He did the International Girl with the Dragon Tattoo films, as well as Dead Man Down, which I actually liked. But, yeah, not to be too punny and all, but this movie had no pulse. There was just... It just everything felt like it was fucking dead or asleep. Like there was no energy to it. Even when it's like, oh shit, we're doing this amazing thing. It's like it just seems so dull. I wish had a lot more style to it. I mean, Oaklev it has a few moments when he's kind of showing the flatlined world, but like it's a little bit too fleeting. And I also think the scares here are horrible. This has some of the worst jump scares I've seen in a movie in a long time. Like it was just laughable. Like how not only generic but just careless that a lot of these setups are. So
Yeah.
I was disappointed. I mean, I shouldn't have expected much considering it has like a 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was just bland and forgettable. And it does a few. Actually, it makes one interesting twist midway through, but aside from that, yeah. So I'll give it a 4.
Wow. I thought you liked Flatliners better. I guess not.
I mean, it had some. It had. I think the cast. You have a good cast. They do a good job. And then I think the opening of the movie is okay because it's kind of these characters just interacting. But once it kind of gets into, the horror aspects of the movie, fucking drops the ball completely. So
Nice.
4.
Nice. I think we have one more, and I think it's the one I saw, like Ghost Story.
Oh, I have a lot more, but yeah, you may
Okay,
have one
I'll
more.
do my last one. A Ghost Story, which Matt has not seen yet. Matt was Casey Affleck for Christmas, or for Halloween. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, I was.
You were Casey Affleck from a Ghost Story. So basically, it's a passionate young couple unexpectedly separated by a shocking loss, discover an eternal connection and a love that is infinite. Wow, what a synopsis. There, I'm gonna say this first. This is not for everyone. I don't usually say that about a lot of movies, but you'll see what I mean, Matt, when you see it. It's not. It's definitely not.
I know what to expect.
There's like no dialogue for like of the first half hour, but no, I'm just kidding. But there's some dialogue, but very minimal. But this movie was actually pretty incredible. It made me think, which is what I really love in movies. David Lowery, the director, leaves a lot up for interpretation. He also only had like $100,000 for a budget, which is pretty impressive. What he was able to do directing wise. It was a very visually beautiful movie to look at, even though it was on a laptop. So, but in general, it was a really phenomenal movie, and Casey and Rooney Mara were great as well. But Matt hasn't seen it yet, so I'll leave it at that. I'm at a 9.
Okay. I'll get to it. I'll probably see it within the week. All right. Next, American Assassin. I kind of wanted to see this when it was in the theater. Didn't get a chance. It's like a level worse than The Foreigner. I mean, it's from the Homeland director Michael Custa, and he knows how to direct a modern kind of action movie. I think the story of this one doesn't quite hold up as well as The Foreigner. It doesn't really have an emotional punch to it. But I like Dylan O'Brien, the lead action star here. He's not your typical action hero. He's more of this kind of introverted kind of guy, but he was good. And I think Michael Keaton's also really eats up the screen time he gets here. I mean, this is even more of a dad movie, and I'd also say it's like a TNT movie. It's like this movie will surely be on TNT in 3 years at 8:00 on a Tuesday.
That's good,
and
though.
you know what? I'll watch it. I'll give it a 6. It was good.
All right.
All right, and you did forget one, Jim and Andy: The Great Beyond.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
So we've both seen that one, so you can talk about it.
Jim and Andy. It's a documentary about Jim Carrey playing.
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, I didn't see that movie.
Man on the Moon came out in '98. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little research prior to the movie, but I didn't prior to the documentary. I mean, but I didn't end up seeing it. So basically, it's using the documentary. It's 100 hours of footage from the set of Man on the Moon, and Chris Smith, who is the filmmaker for this movie, documents Jim Carrey's transformation into that performance of Andy Kaufman. It was interesting. I'll say that. Jim Carrey is crazy.
I really like this
In a good
movie.
way.
I think it really kind of you get a really great look into how Jim Carrey thinks, and just to see kind of how I mean, definitely an extreme case, but how an artist can work kind of the process,
Yeah.
things like that. And yeah, I think I mean, I think it's a bit of a detriment at points because the movie it kind of transitions into a Jim Carrey movie and not really
Yeah,
about Andy Kaufman. I'm someone who hasn't seen a lot of Andy Kaufman stuff, so it's like I was a bit lost as to who he was in particular at points. Like
yeah,
I know who he is as a social figure, but just to get to see a little more of the nuances of his work, I think would have helped
yeah.
define this movie and Carrey's performance as Kaufman a bit more. But
Yeah, I feel like at times this movie did like feel like more of it was all about Jim Carrey and how he felt about Andy Kaufman more so than who Andy was. Yeah, so I agree
mm,
with that. But
but I think Carrey is, I mean, he's definitely genuine, and I credit the director for really approaching this material in a more interestingly objective way. It kind of, Carrey has these meandering monologues, but it's not like the film endorses them. It
yeah,
kind of just presents these as perspectives and truths, and it kind of lets the audience make what they may from it. And I think that's a lot more interesting way to do a documentary. And I think from an entertainment perspective, this movie was very entertaining. Like
yeah.
I loved when he went to the fucking Playboy Mansion. That was probably one of my like 10 or 12 favorite moments from a movie this year. So
Wow. Yeah, it was funny. There was I also like the moments when he was like working with the director too of the movie.
yeah,
It was just like kind of the comedy in that sense too of like the director kind of trying to like control him. So
yeah.
that was really funny too. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was interesting.
What do you give it?
I give it a 7.
I'm a bit higher. I give it an 8 personally, but
I'm at a lot of sevens today.
yeah. So I have just two more movies, so I'll do them real quick. Uh, Home Again with Reese Witherspoon, rom com. I mean, this movie couldn't have been fucking faker. Like, this was like a fucking science fiction movie almost. Like, just how
You were
like
excited for it.
fake. I mean, at the same token, it's a superficial rom com, but I think there's some entertainment value to it. I like this cast. Reese Witherspoon is charming. You know, you got Nat Wolff, Michael Sheen. Uh, like this is a 5. Like this is the ultimate 5 of a movie.
Yeah.
It's not that like quality wise, it's probably a 3, but I was marginally entertained. So 5.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know what you're getting into. There you go.
I'm surprised. I remember you being excited for it when it came to trailers.
I like Reese Witherspoon, and it's the director, the daughter of Nancy Myers. So I was kind of interested to see that.
Yeah.
The other movie, Patty Cakes, which was one of the major flameouts from this year's Sundance crop. I believe Fox Searchlight bought it for $10 million, and it didn't even make $1 million domestically. But it's a movie about a girl from Jersey who's trying to be a rapper. It was okay. Like, I mean, if you listen to any semblance of rap, the actual music in the movie is fucking cringy as fuck.
Oh boy.
And that takes away from it a lot. Like
Oh
I feel
no.
like it, and it definitely is generic at points. But I think a lot of what makes the movie work is the cast. They really make these parts feel like lived-in characters, and I think all the actors were very likable in the parts. Director it's Jeremy with a G, but okay, guy. Jeremy Gasper. I mean, he throws a lot at the screen. I think his direction is just a bit too much, but I give the guy credit for having some effective moments. I guess I give it a 6, although you could easily talk me down to a 5.5 or a 5. But it was all right.
Oh. Yeah, I was thinking of watching it, but I feel like there's other ones on my list, but well, that's
Yeah.
it.
So what else do you feel like you need to catch up on? For
What?
for me, it's Ghost Story, Brad Saddis, Killing of the Sacred Deer, and then the other Oscar movies that I haven't
Yeah,
really seen. That's kind of
I
it.
do have to catch up. Well, the other Oscar movies, yeah, I definitely have to see. I mean, I basically hit all the ones I really wanted to see, but American Assassin's up there. I'm kind of interested to see
No,
that.
Brawl and Cell Block 99 should be your number one.
Oh yeah, Columbus too. We'll put Columbus in
Yeah,
there.
Columbus is another really good one.
So Cell Block 99. Yeah, that'll probably be my next one at some point. But yeah. So we got a lot in the future. I Downsizing will probably be the next one we review by itself. like as just one video.
Well, maybe. Well, if you see Greatest Showman, I mean, if you see Bright, what I don't really know what we're gonna do for videos for this
Yeah,
next week. We'll have reviews, but I don't know how they're gonna be
we'll probably yeah we'll
per
probably
se.
yeah we'll probably do like another. I wouldn't be surprised if we do another one of these types within the next week, but
Yeah,
yeah
but like a more like of conversation, less of like we
yeah
saw this. There you go, blah blah blah. But
yeah. Matt
within
was
the next,
yeah.
wait, what's up?
No, it's just nothing. I was gonna make a dumb joke.
What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Matt's gonna watch himself in a ghost story because he played the ghost.
Yes, I mean I did a great job in the movie. I was the ghost,
You just
so I
watched
haven't seen it yet. I lived it, Ryan. I don't need to see it, you know. But I mean, within the next 2 weeks, we'll probably do another award show thing,
yeah,
and then you know what? I think we'll do a best of worst of then, and then we're gonna revisit it in a month. I feel like that's the best way to go about it because
yeah,
there's some shit that goes wide in January that we're not gonna. There's no way we could see it before, but I'd rather it's cool to do the discussion in January and then reflect a little later. So we'll have a
yeah,
best of worst of it as well within the next 2 weeks or so.
yeah, yeah. I agree. So yeah, there you go. That's what you have to look forward to.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, this is Christmas Eve as we're taping this, but uh, yeah. So have
No
it.
days off,
Yeah, no days off. But I'll put this up eventually, maybe even later tonight, and yeah, and we'll go from there. So thank you guys for listening, and yeah, we'll be back.
Yes.
So see ya.